Namaskar and welcome at 6:30 this evening in time for Express News. I'm Sakal Bhatt. In the next half an hour, a quick run through the top 100 stories of the day. Let's begin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds Swanidhi Samvad with street vendors from Madhya Pradesh via video conferencing. Scheme launched on 1st June 2020 to help street vendors and small shops facing loss in business due to corona crisis resume livelihood activities. Prime Minister Modi compliments Madhya Pradesh government for ensuring benefit of Swanidhi scheme to cover 1 lakh street vendors in just 2 months. MP registered eligible 4.5 lakh street vendors for loans and issues identity cards and certificates to over 4 lakh street vendors. Prime Minister Modi says the process under the scheme has been made very simple. Purpose of Swanidhi Samvad scheme is to help people start afresh and begin their work again easily. Prime Minister reiterates government's commitment towards working for deprived sections of society. Also says unprecedented work done in past 6 years has benefited poor, downtrodden, underprivileged and deprived people. PM says that the government has initiated a flagship scheme for ensuring better houses for street vendors in the urban areas. He added that under the One Nation, One Ration card facility, people can take ration from anywhere across the country. Prime Minister interacts with the beneficiaries of the PM Swanidhi scheme in Indore, Gwalior and Raisan districts. Also inquires about the benefits of other schemes of government which were given for welfare of street vendors. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan says loan of rupees 10,000 under Swanidhi scheme will immensely help street vendors to re-establish their businesses. As such scheme is a blessing for vendors largely impacted by COVID pandemic. External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar will be attending the meeting of Council of Foreign Ministers of Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Moscow. India is attending the meeting for the third time as a full member of SCO. EAM Jaishankar to have bilateral meetings with Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov today. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will also holds a fruitful meeting with his Kyrgyz counterpart on SCO sidelines. Thanks him for the support in facilitating return of Indian nationals. Agrees to further enhance a strategic partnership in all spheres. External Affairs Minister also holds a warm meeting with Tajik counterpart. Expresses satisfaction over growing bilateral and regional cooperation. Also says highly values the strategic partnership. Foreign ministers of India, China and Russia will have a luncheon meeting. Chinese Foreign Minister Yang Hui will hold bilateral meetings with foreign ministers of relevant member states. President Vladimir Putin to address SCO-FM meet through video conferencing at 8:30 p.m. SCO-FM meet to review preparations for the forthcoming SCO summit and also exchange views on international and regional issues. First India-France-Australia trilateral dialogue will be held virtually today. Three sides discussed economic and geostrategic challenges and cooperation in Indo-Pacific in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. French Defence Minister Florence Parly to visit India tomorrow. She will attend official induction ceremony of the first batch of Rafale Omni-role fighter aircraft by Indian Air Force at AFS Ambala. This will be her first official trip since COVID outbreak. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar participates in the 15th Sustainability Summit addressed session on Action Agenda for Sustainable and Self-Reliant India special session. Says India is committed to responsibly play its role in lessening emissions around the world. Defence PSU Hindustan Aeronautics Limited once again proves its indigenous capability in design and development. HAL's indigenously developed light utility helicopter demonstrates high altitude capability in hot and high weather conditions in the Himalayas recently for about 10 days. Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha reviews ongoing construction work at AIM site in Vijaypur area of Samba district. Directs executing agency to stick to the timeline and complete the construction work by August 2022. Binish Kodiyari, son of CPIM Kerala State Secretary Kodiyari Balakrishnan, is being questioned by the ED at its office in Kochi. ED summoned him for his suspected links with some of those arrested in the recent Bangalore drug case. BSF troops foils nefarious attempts by armed smugglers and shot dead 2 smugglers ahead of the fence in the AOR of POP Khaliwala Sri Ganganagar border outpost in Rajasthan. Pistols, ammunition, drugs Identity cards of Pakistani nationals and other items were recovered. India sees an unprecedented surge in recoveries of COVID cases. Nearly 75,000 recoveries reported in the last 24 hours. Total number of recovered cases is close to 34 lakhs. The total number of recovered patients in a single day has surged to record 74,894. Recovery rate has further improved to 77.77%. Staying with the COVID, India has progressively maintained a low case fatality rate as compared to global average of 3.28%. The fatality rate has further dropped to 1.68%. Meanwhile, over 11.5 lakh COVID-19 tests have been conducted in the last 24 hours, taking the total to over 5.18 crore. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan attends 73rd session of the WHO Regional Committee for Southeast Asia through video conferencing. Conveys Prime Minister's vision of investing in health is the biggest and most important investment that a nation can make for the people. Health Minister's teleconsultation platform eSanjeevani completes 3 lakh teleconsultations. Teleconsultation service proves to be a boon in containing COVID spread while simultaneously enabling provisions for non-COVID essential healthcare. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport in Mumbai rolls out QR code-enabled contactless check-in systems for passengers. System allows passengers to use their mobile phones remotely to operate check-in and self-bag drop kiosks for printing boarding passes and bag tags. Delhi Metro's Blue Line and Pink Line resume operations from today after being closed for over 5 months due to COVID-19 pandemic. Trains are to operate in batches of 4 hours each from 7 to 11 a.m. and 4 to 8 p.m. in the first stage. Goa Health Department has decided to convert the South Goa District Hospital into a facility for COVID-19 patients. State Health Minister Vishwajit Rane says that the hospital located in Margao town will start operating as a COVID-19 treatment facility with 250 beds from Friday. Special arrangements made for the monsoon session amidst corona pandemic. Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu assesses the preparations and holds rehearsal for the 252nd session of Rajya Sabha. Bharatiya Janata Party issues a 3-line whip to all its Rajya Sabha MPs asking them to be present in the House on 14th of September. The monsoon session of Parliament is scheduled to begin with September 14 and conclude on 1st of October without any day off. YSR Congress leader Parimal Nathwani today took oath of office as Rajya Sabha member. Vice President and the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha M. Venkaiah Naidu administered the oath of office to Nathwani. He could not take oath in July with the other 3 elected members of Rajya Sabha on health grounds. Union Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank facilitates 38 incredible teachers of CBSE with the CBSE Teacher Award 2019-20. Says their dedication towards students in ways to encourage them to perform innovative experiments and carry out research even amidst pandemic is praiseworthy. In Kerala, 3 fishermen drowned after their boat capsized mid-sea off the Thiruvananthapuram coast this morning. Their bodies have been recovered. 2 fishermen managed to swim to safety. IMD has predicted heavy to very heavy rainfall for next 3 days for the basins of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu as well as southern parts of Maharashtra. Orange alerts issued for Thiruvananthapuram, Kollam, Idukki, Alappuzha, Kottayam and Ernakulam. Supreme Court has refused to entertain fresh petitions against holding of NEET UG examination by National Testing Agency in the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Says all arrangements are in place. Court has no reason to interfere with these examinations. Riya Chakravarti shifted to Baikula Jail from Narcotics Control Bureau office in South Mumbai. She was arrested by NCB yesterday. Bail application of Riya Chakravarti and Shelby fixed for hearing on 10 September 2020 in special court in Mumbai. Mumbai High Court asked BMC to stop demolition work at Kangana's premises. Kangana's plea to be heard tomorrow. Bombay High Court on March 19 passed an order for all municipal corporation in Maharashtra to consider not carrying out any demolition during the pandemic. In extraordinary reasons, it should seek permission of a court. CBI meanwhile recommends appropriate action against 4 officials including an IAS officer citing lapses in handling the case of rape of minor girl by the former BJP MLA Kuldeep Singh Sengha. Supreme Court has sought response from the centre on a plea seeking to open all religious places of worship across country closed due to COVID-19 pandemic. Supreme Court in its interim order says no Maratha quota for jobs and admission in educational institutions for 2021-22. 2021. Supreme Court has referred matter to a larger bench. Two admissions to PG courses already done will not be disturbed. Madras High Court has asked schools to strictly follow guidelines issued by central and state governments regarding the conduct of online classes. The court was giving its ruling on a PIL seeking a ban on online classes until appropriate guidelines were laid down under the Information Technology Act to ensure equitable access to students and shield them from harmful distractions. Donald Trump nominated for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize following his efforts to broker peace between Israel and United Arab Emirates. Trump, who was also nominated in 2018, was recommended for the prize by a member of the Norwegian parliament. Israel and United Arab Emirates to sign their historic deal normalizing relations at a White House ceremony on September 15th. Senior delegations from the two countries to attend the ceremony. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un calls for urgent efforts to rebuild thousands of homes and other structures destroyed by the typhoon that slammed the country's eastern region last week. Says the damage from the typhoon Maisak has forced the country to reconsider unspecified year-end projects. Southeast Asia's foreign ministers kick off series of regional summits via video conferencing, discusses immense crisis brought by COVID and rising tensions in South China Sea amid the escalating rivalry between Washington and ASEAN and the Beijing ASEAN underway amid US-China friction. US President Donald Trump says environmental policies of the Democratic presidential rival Joe Biden would destroy America's middle class. Also says under his leadership, US can improve its environment while creating millions of high-paying jobs. Uncontrolled wildfires driven by high winds and unprecedented temperatures rage across the US western coast. Firestorm destroyed 80% homes in Malden. Over 200 people airlifted to safety. French engineers develop robot to detect whether people are wearing a mask to guard against COVID-19 and if not, politely remind them to put one on. The idea is to provide a friendly reminder. Belarusian authorities detained one of the last leading members of an opposition council who remained free in order to end a month of protests against authoritarian President Alexander Lukashenko. Thousands of migrants fled fires that tore through a camp under coronavirus lockdown on Greece's island Lesbos. Prime Minister calls an emergency meeting with ministers. There were no immediate reports of injuries or fatalities. Rapid COVID-19 testing station rolls out at Newark Liberty International Airport terminal. Construction of coronavirus testing sites, which is also underway in San Francisco and Atlanta, among other locations. Air pollution in Chile's capital, Santiago, plunges amid the pandemic. According to some measurements, pollutants in the air in Santiago has reduced by some 90%. Chinese President Xi Jinping says he attaches great importance to the development of relations between China and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Also expresses readiness to work with Kim Jong-un to push forward traditional, friendly and cooperative relations. Roadside bomb in Kabul kills at least 10 people and injured several others. The attack was targeted the convoy of first Afghan Vice President Amarullah Saleh, but he escaped unarmed. Attack comes ahead of the long-awaited peace talks between Afghan government and Taliban in Doha. AstraZeneca plc puts hold on the last stage trial of its highly anticipated COVID-19 vaccine candidate after suspected serious adverse reaction in a study participant. Britain's Health Secretary Matt Hancock said that safety was the priority. Australia's Deputy Chief Medical Officer says not concerned about AstraZeneca plc's decision to put on hold its COVID-19 vaccine trial. Australia earlier says that it would get the first doses of Astra vaccine in January 2021 if trials proved successful. China says United States may ban some imports from China's Xinjiang region over alleged human rights violations. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson says this is a pretext to oppress Chinese customers and incite instability. Over 300 civil society groups, including Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International and International Service for Human Rights, urge United Nations to set up an international watchdog to address human rights violations by the Chinese government. North Korea marked the 72nd founding anniversary of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. People were seen offering floral tributes to its late leaders to mark the state's founding anniversary. Yongyang Street has been decorated with flags. Pope Francis reminds people to remember to social distance in an impromptu announcement at the start of his general audience after visitors to the Vatican crowded together to try and get as close to him as possible for the second week in a row. Thai Airways comes up with interesting idea to treat its loyal customers. National carrier transforms the cafeteria of its Bangkok headquarters into an aviation-themed restaurant open to the public to satisfy their cravings for airline food. Over 2.77 lakh people were infected with the virus. COVID-19 claims lives of over 9.02 lakh people worldwide. As many as 1.98 crore recoveries registered so far. CBDT issues refunds of over rupees 1.01 crore to over 27.55 lakh taxpayers between April and September. Income tax refunds issued rupees 83,507 cases and corporate tax refunds issued in 1,71,155 cases. Equity benchmark Sensex tumbles to 171 points, ends 171.43 points lower at 38,193.92 points. Staying with business news, SBI was the top loser in the Sensex pack, shedding over 4%, followed by Bajaj Finserv, Axis Bank, when GCIT, ICICI Bank, Bajaj Finance, Kotak Bank and HDFC Bank. NSE Nifty settles 39.35 points down at 11,278. In the forex market, the rupee appreciated 5 paisa to close at 73.55 against the US dollar. Retirement fund body EPFO has settled 94.41 lakh claims totaling rupees 35,445 crore during April-August despite COVID-19 related restrictions. EPFO settles around 32% more claims as compared to corresponding period of last year, while the amount disbursed increased by around 30%. RBI specifies 5 financial ratios and sector-specific thresholds for resolution of COVID-19 related to stressed assets in 26 sectors. These sectors include auto components, aviation and tourism. Oil declines for a 5th session in a row to trade below $42 a barrel. Crude prices fell amid concerns that a recovery in demand could weaken as COVID-19 infections are going up around the world. International Monetary Fund says there are some signs of recovery in the world economy, but most emerging markets and developing countries are not seeing a reversal of fortune yet. To secure the recovery, we need to continue financial support debt sustainability and build resilience. Gross domestic product in the Eurozone shrinks by 11.8%, while the employment rate decreased by 2.9% in the second quarter of 2020 compared to previous quarter. These were by far the sharpest declines observed since the time series started in 1995. The master plan for the beautification of the Badrinath was being presented to Prime Minister Narendra Modi through video conferencing. Along with this, Prime Minister also reviewed the progress of ongoing reconstruction work of Kedarnath Dham. Ministry of Education is to organize a 2-day conclave on school education in 21st century under Shikshak Parv initiative on 10th and 11th September through online mode. Prime Minister Modi will address the conclave on 11th of September 2020. Delhi government has cleared the way for COVID test on demand. Directions have been issued to start testing people with RT-PCR without the prescription of doctor. India's child mortality rate has declined substantially between 1990 and 2019, but the country, along with Nigeria, still accounts for almost a third of all under 5 deaths last year, according to a new UN report which warned that COVID-19 pandemic threatens to undo decades of progress in eliminating preventable child deaths globally. ED attaches under PMLA fixed deposits of rupees 59.52 crores held by the Church of South India Trust Association in illegal land and allocation cases. A 7-day trekking expedition was launched by 19th Battalion of ITBP in Sarahan area of Himachal Pradesh. The expedition aims to cover border villages to spread awareness on COVID-19. In yet another move towards becoming more inclusive, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has unveiled new representation and inclusion standards for the Best Picture Oscar category. The Academy says all the films must meet the new criteria in terms of representation in order to be eligible for the top award beginning in 2024. Naomi Osaka has entered the US Open finals, defeating unseeded American Shelby. This was her first win against Rogers in 4 meetings. Osaka has entered the US Open semis for the first time since 2018. Osaka had captured her maiden Grand Slam title in US Open in 2018. American Jennifer Brody entered last 4 with a win against Yulia Putintseva. 28 seed Brody became the first player into the Final 4 at Flushing Meadows. Jennifer Brody has reached her career's first Grand Slam semi-final. The 25-year-old is playing in her 13th Grand Slam event and is seeded in a major for the first time. Alexander Zverev recovered from a set-down to win a 3-hour battle with Borna Coric. Zverev won the match in 4 sets to advance to the semis of the US Open. Pablo Carreño Busta reached his second Grand Slam semi-final with a win over Denis Shapovalov at the US Open. The Spanish 20th seed Busta won the match in 5 sets. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Kiran Rijiju had an online meeting with World Anti-Doping Agency President Vitful Banka yesterday. He reiterated India's commitment towards promoting clean sport. Sports Minister spoke of the readiness of the National Doping Testing Laboratory to conduct tests as per WADA guidelines. The Sports Minister also invited WADA team for an on-site visit of NDTL. Indian golfer Anirban Lahiri embarks on his 6th season at PGA Tour, teeing up at the Safeway Championship on Thursday. Lahiri's only competitive week since early March was at Wyndham Championship last month. Tokyo Olympics quota winner and boxer Vikas Krishan's request to train at the United States as part of the preparations for Olympics has been approved by the Sports Authority of India. He will be travelling to the US later this week along with his coach. Cristiano Ronaldo netted his 100th goal for Portugal in their Nations League win against Sweden on Tuesday. He joined Iran's Ali Daei as the only male player to score 100 goals or more in internationals. Portugal registered a 2-0 win over 10-man Sweden in Nations League. Veteran Sweden midfielder Gustav Svensson was sent off just before half-time for collecting a second yellow card. England played a boring goalless draw against Denmark in Nations League. Manager Southgate gave debuts to 4 players in this match. France earned a rollercoaster 4-2 home win over Croatia's Nations League. The outcome was a carbon copy of their memorable clash in the 2018 World Cup final. Kevin De Bruyne and Beth England have been named as the Professional Footballers Association's Player of the Year. De Bruyne is Manchester City's first male winner. Caster Semenya has lost an appeal over testosterone restrictions for female athletes. The ruling means that South Africa's double Olympic 800 meters champion cannot defend her Olympic 800 meter title in Tokyo next year. Australia avoided a series whitewash as they beat England by 5 wickets in the 30-20 international. Australia restricted England to 145 for 6 and won in the final over by 5 wickets. And with this win, Australia regained their top ranking in T20 International. England won the series 2-1 and now both teams will meet in ODI series. England's David Mullen has climbed to the top of the ICC T20 rankings for batsmen. He grabbed the #1 ranking after a great outing in the 3-match series against Australia. And Sam Bennett stole back into the green jersey in the Tour de France after taking his debut win on stage 10. Bennett has now won stages in all 3 of Europe's Grand Tours. And with that, it's time to wrap up this edition of Express News. Coming up next, special programming on the other side on Doordarshan. Stay with us. Namaskar.